Hey guys, it's Matt. Let me tell you what happened to me this week. And I think it's official. I'm doing my calculations right here. It was hard to crunch the numbers like Kevin Bacon on Apollo 13, but I don't think I have any legacy friends left. I have new friends through this channel and people that aren't completely insane. But in terms of like legacy friends, I don't know if I have anybody left. So you can use the comment section if you care to let us know if you have anybody left. But the numbers here for me don't look good, especially what happened this week. And I'll tell you what happened to me. One story really, quote, trumps the other. And Rob, who is putting together Free Voice, if you're listening, you're absolutely right. A segment of Free Voice at some point has to evolve into. You are absolutely right, a sense of community where people can find people in their general vicinity, even if they have to drive 100 miles to find somebody that's not completely insane. So, of course, guys, you know what I'm going to say. Just the fine print on that before I tell you my story is from the Reality Zone metrics, from the way this world works and what boxes would be checked. We are insane because they on the ship are going along and marching to the beat of exactly what the reality calls for and dictates. So, of course, objectively, we are here. We are insane. But, of course, somehow we are rooted to, a level of sanity that no longer exists. And sometimes, if a Greek tragedy gets really, really bad, it can flirt with being extremely funny and extremely comical. The way, they say genius and insanity are very, very close to each other. Not every bad situation you can find a lot of humor in, but this one you can. And I don't think it's just some pathetic defense mechanism on my behalf where I'm trying to find comedy in something that is truly horrible. It is funny. It is funny. So you can go two ways. You can get extremely angry and rant and rave like a lot of other YouTube channels. And somebody sent me a BitChute video where this guy in Australia, and I understand where he's coming from, and he's a brother of ours. He doesn't, the person ranting and raving on BitChute, this guy in Australia was like, "You mother, y'all should go to," I mean, he just was like, he was just at this point he had broken, and he was ready to, if they had any kind of firearms in Australia, which I don't think they do. He probably would go seek one out. He had broken, but and I again, this is in a way this is a brother of ours, but obviously that's exactly the behavior that it wants from you. Of course, that's what it wants. If you back up far enough, or you can back up out of the snow globe, what I call it, and look down and see how absurd this whole this whole train ride is. You just would never get that upset at it. So yeah, Rob, who's putting together Free Voice, we do at some point. Yeah, you're right. People need to to connect with people that because this is getting really really crazy. So what happened to me? Well, in terms of the last two legacy friends that have gone down. One is Pam. One is Pam, but it has nothing to do with a belief set or anything. I don't Pam. I don't want to be, I don't want to say anything mean or anything. And I don't even want to tell you the specifics of what she did or how she acted. But it's basically just almost insane. You know, I don't chalk it up to. I'm going to use a new hobo code borrowed from Uncanny Deduction channel. It's funnier. He uses it. People went out and got the Jabba Dabba Doo. He calls it the Jabba Dabba Doo from Scooby Doo. I'm gonna borrow that. I hope he does not bring any sort of royalty claims against me or copyright infringement. I'm just gonna borrow it and give credit to Uncanny Deduction channel, the Jabba Dabba Doo, instead of so I will forego the renting of the movie for this video because that one's funnier. So I don't know. I don't her behavior. I don't like point it just at that. And I don't, most of my family, when we had that luncheon, they all seemed just like they were. Everybody seemed completely normal. I was the only one that didn't jabba dabba do. But they were all, but Pam, so I can't, I don't know what is going on with her. But just to people, you must be like, well, tell us something, Matt. Um, basically, in so many words, um, something went down where she took a 3 day vacation to go hiking and camping with one other person, didn't leave a key behind so her mother could let go in and feed Gouda and do the litter for Gouda, her cat that I watch all the time. Somehow blamed me, so blamed me, and then it ended up where I was supposed to drive a key down to her mother. Then I was called back and I was told they found a key and somebody's getting a key to her mother. But then that was the end of it. But then I found out that never happened. They never found that other key. She had to get a locksmith to break into her house so the mother could get in and feed Gouda. And then she blamed me for the whole thing. What I offered to do was actually go and get the cat, bring it here, care for it for 3 days, love it for 3 days, and then drive it back 30 minutes. And that was just completely unacceptable because the cat really shouldn't be taken out of its environment. Guys, you don't want me to go on and on. The behavior, the conclusions were insane. So I don't know what's going on with her. But our divide has been growing. Like, it's just been, it's exactly as I described it. The divide growing, the ship of fools, the river of insanity. It just our divide with everybody grows farther and farther, and what little lifelines we have in common gets thinner and thinner. It's like stretching out a piece of gum. Eventually, it's going to snap, right? So, but that's not the main story. The main story is a friend of the family who's much older than me. We've gone to lunch, hundreds of times over the years and lives locally for the state of I don't, guys, I don't make any money on insurance anymore. But for some reason, I believe it's smart that I maintain my license. I've been licensed in various states for, I mean, I don't know, like 30 years. So it's a big process to maintain it. You just need to do the little insurance exam, pass little continuing education credits. So it's about this time of the year where I need to do that exam. And usually I can pass it, without much studying. It takes a little bit of looking into some of the stuff I'm not familiar with, like universal life insurance and long-term care and all this stuff that they make you, answer questions on that you'll never touch. And again, guys, I'm not. This is my full-time job. I mean, I'm just trying to maintain my license for the future. Who knows what? And I don't know when they run the background check. I don't think there'll ever be a job there for me, but it's just smart to maintain it. It's $50 every 2 years to maintain the license. Anyway, so it says the exam needs to be proctored by a disinterested third party. So, I have to be, in the situation I'm in, I have to be perfect, of course. So I haven't gotten my dad to come in, a disinterested third party. So this friend of the family, who was my teacher, what could be a better proctor? Of course. So I had the sense that, he knows that Matt did not get the jabba dabba doo. Matt, I'm saying it like Uncanny Deduction says it. It's funny as shit. And uncanny deduction, if you can do that diatribe at some point where you go into that long speech about how others' viewpoints are not as worthy as your viewpoint, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. If you could do that for me, I really would appreciate it. He's like, no, I will talk much more than you will talk because your opinion is lesser than mine. And it's so wonderfully arrogant. It's the funniest thing in the world. But if you could do that again for me. So because of he knows, I knew this would become an issue. He comes here every 2 years and proctors the exam. Just confirm I'm not going to cheat on this online exam, sit in the room, whatever. So I called him up and I knew there'd be a problem because of this whole thing. And he is older, but I said, can you come over? And he's like, oh, you know, I'll sit outside. And it's just a matter of principle. I'm like, You won't even come in the house? You won't even come in the house?" I said, "Well, wait a second. You've got the jabba dabba doo, right?" "Well, yeah, of course. Of course. He's older. You won't even come in the house." Okay. Now, with these, a lot of states have waived because of, you'd think they would all waive it because they don't want people gathering together and all that. A lot of states have waived the proctoring requirement. Pennsylvania, of course, not. But I doubt because of what's going on, they're going to be like, if you're like sitting on the other end of the room, like 40 feet away or down the hall or something, is that okay? Won't even come in the house. Like, wait a second here. Okay, remember, and I go through the whole thing, we've been through so many times. Remember in the old days, like the real metric as to whether, you wanted to be around somebody or you could get it. Remember, somebody actually had to be ill? Do you remember that little thing where in the past somebody actually had to be sick? Or if they walked in to your house off the beach, tanned and in perfect health with their pina colada and they're completely healthy, you didn't think anything about getting anything. Remember that? And I tell that to him, of course, but the news has put into everybody's head, of course, you know what I'm going to say, that there's these healthy carriers, and this is the most evil genius, brilliant thing they did was this. And they're so, we'll talk about these. I've got to do a video just talking about who are these minions, these creeps, these Governor Cuomo. I watch Governor Cuomo and I look and I go, there is no way that thing, that incarnation is the same as me. No way. I don't know what that is, but they have a similar look and feel to me. Governor Cuomo, George Bush, um, you know, uh, who's the mayor of New York, De Blasio, the George Soros types. They all just feel the same way. Even Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles, has that feel to me as well. Someday I'll do a video on his 5 cent philanthropy that the Eagles are now up probably valued at 1.5 billion, something like that. You could drive around Philadelphia till the end of your natural life and never see any of his 5 cent philanthropy. I love the whole philanthropy thing. It's just fascinating how see it's they I don't want to stray, but they really can't per the metaphysics in my opinion of how this reality works. They can't put their money to any good use. It's a breaking of the rules for them. And if they wanted to, I think the Men in Black would pay them a visit, or those really dark creatures that pulled people down into the abyss in the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Those things that came up out of the sewers that eventually got Patrick Swayze's quote friend in the end. He was trying to get on Demi Moore. Those dark things that came up from the sewer. Maybe that's what would happen to Jeffrey Lurie if he ever tried to actually participate in any real philanthropy. And if you're watching, Jeffrey, call me. We can talk about how maybe you can navigate this situation. But guys, what happened again is he wouldn't come in the house, and I have to go through the whole thing over the phone. And I'm not going to get anywhere with him, but I have to do it. And I'm trying not to get really upset. I'm shaking my head, going, okay. And I said to him, remember in the old days when somebody actually had to be sick? And you get either they that kind of can blue screen some of these people, or that breaks their scripts, and they don't really know how to reply to that. But eventually they will just reiterate what they've heard on the news, 800 times. Well, Matt, you know that this organization says, and this World Health or whatever, that with this thing, all the healthy people are carriers. So there's no way to ever blow through that. I said, okay, let's just say I'm perfectly healthy and I am, that 1 in a million chance I'm carrying. I'm talking to him. You know, if you stay like really far apart and I'm not coughing and I'm not sneezing, like how are you possibly going to contract this thing? And then on top of that, you went and watched the Jabba Dabba Doo, right? You're protected. So do you realize the Lemony Snicket series of events that would have to unfold for you to get this? So you could have come in the house. I'll open all the windows. I mean, air it out like the Black Death was in here. I'll air it out. Not going to get within 30 feet of me. I'm completely healthy. So you would admit that chances are I'm not carrying the Black Death, right? I feel great. I'm not coughing. I'm not sneezing. I'll even wear a mask. Whatever. Won't come in the house. And on top of everything, you're protected. You went up to the top of the mountain with Eddie Murphy and the Golden Child, and you spun the thing back and forth and got the knife and the Golden Child. You're protected with your Jabba Dabba Doo. So if you do the math on that, it's like 1 in 120 billion to 1 that you could contract anything. Nah, I won't do it. Won't come in the house. Okay. Okay. So this is what we're dealing with. And if there's any way you can view the Greek tragedy and view it and actually make it fun or make it into something funny, if there's any way to do that, please do that. If you can, to do that, we do have to get a little crazy, and we do have to see things in a kind of in a weird sense. Invoke my brother from another mother, Seal, who said in the immortal words of Seal, just before he probably started dating Heidi Klum or Klum, potato patata, Seal said, and we're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. Pretty much. We have to get a little crazy. But, stay within the confines of sanity. But you have to be able to look at a Greek tragedy and see it as a complete an utter comedy. And one way to do that, of course, if you're not sure, is to always back up far enough out of the snow globe and look down from the right perspective and just, back up farther. If it's not funny yet, back up. And eventually you'll back up far enough. You'll see this tiny little snow globe, whatever, Earth plane realm, whatever it is inside a snow, you're outside the incarnation, looking down, which probably an aspect of you is probably doing it right now, laughing its ass off at all of our collective behavior. We get too caught up on something, or so, and it's just going. It doesn't matter in the scheme of all that is. It doesn't matter about anything that happens in this, other than I believe really, I'm a consequences person, living life completely the wrong way. Just Matt just running around looking for ways to give Horcrux parts of himself off to this plane to bind with it to create. Oh, I'd like more Jacob Marley chains, please. Put your head and neck out like they put a medal on the Olympians. And what did I see? Was it the? I think it was the games before the Olympics, they didn't show. I watched a lot of the primetime Olympics, and you know what they didn't show? They didn't show in the old days, they would have somebody actually put the medal around the neck of the Olympians. Is that a Jacob Marley chain? Hopefully not for these Olympians. I think they have all these Olympians have they don't understand what we do. We'll give them a pass. But they had drones in one country, or I don't know if it was the United States. They showed for the medal ceremony, they're standing there with their masks, and a drone comes out flying the medal. I don't think it was for this Olympics, but they might have done that for this Olympics because they didn't show the medals awarded. Now they showed the athlete posing with their medal and waving and being happy about their accomplishments, and they should be. But it could have been drones. I don't know, but I did see that say a few weeks ago. Maybe it was the qualifications to get into the Olympics. Real special moment as you're standing there, and it's some sort of like it looks like what is it, Skynet device, some sort of drone Skynet device, not hovering like a hunter killer, but with drones with the propellers and the gold medals is dangling off it. And it's like, is it okay to take my gold medal yet? I can't speak to the drone. Well, not yet. Next Olympics, it will speak to you like Skynet. Oh, okay. Yes, take your medal from the drone. Can I get my hand under the propellers without my fingers getting cut off? Yeah, just go up carefully under the drone. Take your medal. Do not. Yeah, as an Olympic archer, you don't want your fingers cut off. Make sure you get your drone very carefully. I mean, your medal very carefully from the drone, and then you take your medal off and the drone's still like hovering in front of your face. I'm not kidding, guys. The drones, from what I don't know where this was, drones delivered medals. And it might have been, again, the competition leading up to the Olympics. I saw this. And what if the drone like malfunctioned? It was like right in your face as you're trying to pose with your medal. Sorry. Um, so it is the Greek tragedy needs to be really, you need to turn it in any way you can into a comedy. And at some point, no matter how many friends we lose weekly, family members are probably still, they're still on the page, but are they hanging on via family obligation? You get a sense there's a lot of that going on, family obligation. They're not going to completely disown you for not getting the jabba dabba do. But regarding family, Um, I'll just tell you about this conversation I had with my father this morning, and what would he's the ultimate NPC type. I mean, whatever comes on NBC, he will almost word for word, like he's holding etheric note cards or something. He will repeat exactly the way the news presented it. I mean, I don't want to say too much more. I don't know who will be watching this, but we get into it on the phone this morning, and he's vehemently out to convince me how I'm completely in the wrong. And Matt, you should have expected this. You Everybody knows now you didn't go get the jabba dabba do, and you should have. I should have expected that somebody won't get within 30 feet of me in my own home when I'm completely healthy. I know I didn't even. I expected a lot, but I didn't expect that. No, you're completely wrong. He's right. And then it turned into a huge diatribe about, well, why won't you get it? It's the same scripts start running, and the same DOS prompts start. The green screens are going off, and he run this script, run that script. Did you miss any scripts? Run this script. Same things repeated over and over and over and over again. And then at the end, it was like he said the same things 10 to 20 times. And as I was like, okay, I've heard it enough. I can't hear it again for the 50th time. We're going to go now. And as I'm pulling the phone away, you can almost hear him yelling out one more time. He's like, "You're wrong." Like I could hear it as the phone was going away. Remember, he's right. You're wrong. He's right. Like some chant, mantra. It was like in the Big Lebowski. As Lebowski was closing the door, he went to you peed on his rug. He went to see Mr. Lebowski. Jeff Bridges or whatever went to see a rich Mr. Lebowski because the thugs broke in and they got it wrong. They wanted to rough up and pee on the rug of the rich Lebowski, and they peed on the rug you or whatever his name peed on the rug of the degenerate Lebowski, who writes the check for like 69 cents on it September or the date of the job application. And as he's closing the door, he's like, "The bum's lost, Mr. Lebowski. The bum's lost." And that's exactly what it was like when I was pulling the phone away. It's like, "You were wrong." It's like the bum's lost. Those that those that didn't get the jabba dabba do will pay a price. It was like, quick, hang up the phone. And it's like, oh my goodness. Um, let's always go back to the immortal words of Seal, who may have been dating Heidi Klum Klum. He said, "And we're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy." And unfortunately, as the ship of fools sails, and it's really far at this point. It's really far. Any tether you had to, it's all the tethers that you have, all the people that we cared about, loved ones, friends, and family, all these tethers that might have still been are just pretty much gone. And it's the ship as it sails, it doesn't turn into the Pacific Princess from Love Boat with a friendly Isaac he's still trying to buy you drinks from the back, and Gopher and Captain was it Captain Stubing? Was that coming back to me? Little Vicky. I had to watch this show with my grandmother. Dominated the TV for Love Boat, and what am I going to do in my grandparents' house every weekend? Also, actually, I started to like Dallas. She'd watch Dallas, and what am I going to do? There wasn't like PlayStation in the other room or Nintendo, and I watch these shows. And it was the one TV in the house. I think it was a black and white or some other TV somewhere, but it was like a nice console, whatever. So I watched a lot of Love Boat, and it actually isn't as bad as you would think. Dallas actually started to like watching some of these things. Thanks Grandma for introducing me to a lot of these shows that they're compared to today. Of course, they're just genius. They're brilliant compared to the stuff that's offered today. But it's the as it sails away, and your friends and family are on it. It's not the friendly Pacific Princess. It turns into the black freaking pearl from Jack Sparrow. Savvy? It gets dark. It turns into the sails go dark with holes in them, and it looks like Jacob. What is it? Not Jacob Marley's locker. And what's that? What was the ship of the dead that was in the second one? Whatever. It was the I don't know. It's just the ship of fools sails away with our friends and family on it, and there is no finding any sort of commonality or areas where we see eye to eye is just almost impossible at this point. And you just have to decide. I mean, family will probably remain to be family based on obligation, and friends will drop away. There's almost no, unless you can be the biggest person in the world, completely, maybe 1 out of 10 of us can be the biggest person in the world. And this is that would be the, congratulations if you can do it. This would be the most divine aspect of ourselves. That anytime somebody tries to draw you into something, anytime somebody tries to quote something from the news to be a bigger person and to just politely change the subject to go back to what you have in common, like high school experiences and things that you still have left to potentially share with these people. If you can be that big that, somebody yelling at me, I can hear you. I can hear you. Maybe that is our test. We are, maybe that is our test to be that big where we don't lose our cool like I did this morning talking to my father. And I didn't scream at him, but at some point I said, but you claim because you love the Jabba Dabba Doo, you're protected, right? What's the pro? I'm how I could potentially be a little condescending. Like, I shouldn't do it to my father or anybody. I should be big enough to know the ship has sailed. What is it gonna, So what's it gonna do? There's no point in even bringing the topic up. And I actually brought the topic up that this person won't even come into my house to be a proctor. And what did I expect? What do I expect him to do? That Matt, that's so wrong. To take my side and to totally go against the system and everything he's dying to parrot from MSNBC. What did I expect? So we just, it's easy for me to talk. We have to be bigger. I talk the talk, and in my own life for a lot of these things, I don't walk the walk. I'm doing better, but it is easy for me to see, what we should be doing, the tactics and manipulations of the general reality itself, what it's out to do to a human being. But in terms of practicing some of these things, I have a lot of work to do, and that's why this is what I need to focus on for the rest of my life. I still have a lot of work to do in a lot of different areas. But yeah, ship has sailed. The ship has sailed, and if you want to share some of your personal stories with friends or whatever, not that anything would surprise us at this point, but please do in the comments. And at some point, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's there's a million people that think the way we do that are not on that ship. I don't know how many countries you have to, venture out into to find those million people, but that's a lot of people. And I'm not that's not the whole truth community. There's in terms of people that are just misled in the truth community to going down all this Q nonsense, and they're still waiting on the sealed indictments, and they're still waiting for the disclosure at Area 51 and all this nonsense and all the distractions. There's hundreds of millions of those people. I'm saying in terms of people that really see things pretty close to the way we do. There's probably a million people. That sounds like a lot, but in terms of the number of people there are, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction. We're not 1%, we're 1/100th of 1%, but it's still collectively a lot of people. And if we ever can, and someday we will find community, ways to connect. How many friends do you need? I mean, really, you know, I mean, do you even want more than 3 or 4 good friends? And collectively, we're eventually going to be able to find in our vicinity probably 1,000 people, that see things the way we do. We'll be able to drive out to and have get-togethers at some point. And we're probably a little behind schedule on doing these sorts of things, but the dust hasn't quite settled on this thing. It's still a time of tremendous confusion, but ultimately, we're going to end up with more friends than we want. How many do you really even need? So old friends go and they sail, and you see Isaac serving him that one free drink on the Pacific Princess, and see you later. What's the point of hanging on? There is no point. Um, Anybody you lose will be replaced probably tenfold going forward when this community when we finally find a sense of community. So thanks, guys. Be back soon.